inspired me to explore ways to recognize our long-term members, what we now refer to as member milestones. It has truly been a pleasure to work on this project, learning more about our congregants, the temples, and Madison's history, and so much more. It's clear how special our community is that we have so many people to honor in this way. They have stuck with our community and stayed involved over many decades. The stories shared have also illuminated just how interconnected our congregants are. Being part of TBE is being part of a wonderful network of people who come together and make magic happen through programs, life cycle events, holidays, and the little moments in between. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who worked on this project with me. This truly was a group effort that needed each of us to make the huge undertaking and dream come true. Tonight, we're excited to release a printed member milestone publication that will be mailed to those who have stories included and those who asked for a copy when they registered with the temple. The publication includes short responses from members of 54 years and more that were never shared in the email series. In addition to the stories we've been sharing in email since Hanukkah. You can also view the PDF version in the members only section of our website, which, if you're logged in, can be found in the About menu. I hope these stories have brought you some light to this winter and inspired you. Next week, to close out our member milestones email series in spectacular fashion, we'll send out our last email, which will include 6 more stories and a just for fun quiz reflecting on all the stories shared throughout the entire email series. We will be honoring milestone members of 18, 36, and 54 plus years annually at our members Shabbat, as we're doing tonight, and hope to share stories like this again every 5 years or so. Mazel tov to our milestone members, and thanks to all TBE members for belonging to our community. I look forward to hearing from you, seeing you, and working with you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Eliza.
out to all of you guys. So as you can see, we have a lot of people that we're honoring this evening. I'm Kendra, I'm the Associate Executive Director, and I am the staff liaison to the membership committee, and I've worked on this project, and it is so awesome to honor all of you guys. So I want to say another special welcome to our new members. We have 40 new families this year, which is the most since I've been here. That's a huge number. It's very exciting. And as you can see, because this is the first year that we've done our Milestone project, we honored everybody who had hit those milestones so far. So anyone who's hit the 18, 36, or 54-year milestone. So that's a huge number of you. And it's really, really amazing. So thank you so much for everybody who participated in this project. And we look forward to continuing it in different ways. So we have a few minutes before our service begins. So enjoy, say hello to each other, and our clergy will make it clear when it's time to start.
I'll come over here and to offer the blessing right from here.
Okay.
And here is when I say, all the newish members. You have 2 families tonight, so just sort of read it in unison.
Great. We can do that.
This is Alexander. This is Jacob.
Hi.
We can't see Steve from here to tell him, how's the time? Okay. Yeah, tell him. If you can. Oh, there we go. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is wonderful to have you all here. What a beautiful night. If you are here in our sanctuary or if you are watching online, thank you so very much for coming and joining us here in worship. We're going to start services just right now. So please enjoy, have a seat, and enjoy the beautiful evening. If you are joining us online, you have a number of things on the video description. We have a little link that will take you to the prayer book that we're using tonight, and a link that will take you to our program, which will allow you to follow along with some of the supplemental readings that we have for you. So please be sure to find those links and click on them and enjoy with our worshipers here in the sanctuary, who will have a prayer book in their hands maybe, or an iPad, as I see a couple people have iPads, and the copy of the program, which has a number of special readings for us tonight. So we begin by coming to this place, this night of celebration of membership of Temple Bethel, this time really of joining one another in worship, hopefully in joy, hopefully in thinking about your lives and thinking about the way that we live in this world, and then thinking about how to improve and make the world and make our lives even better as we continue to live as part of this Jewish community. Enter.
Melody to gather us together.
yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai lai lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai lai lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel once said of the Shabbat that the person who wants to enter the holiness of this day must first lay down the profanity of clattering commerce, of being yoked to toil, and learn to understand that the world has already been created and will survive without the help of humanity. He went on to say, the Sabbath is a day of peace with all things. On the seventh day, humanity, he says, has no right to tamper with God's world to change the state of physical things. It is a challenge to be at peace with the status quo, to disregard the need for the world's improvement and simply to exist on that peaceful island of the respite of Shabbat in the ocean of time. And yet that is our privilege as people who observe this day with special rites and special rituals and gatherings as we have. Our day of rest is exactly that, or we should try to strive to make it that way, a calm hiatus where we can give of ourselves to others, but also take for ourselves because we have the next week to think about. And as we gain strength from one another, we build the strength within ourselves to make our lives better. May we on this day find the peace that we desire. If you'll turn to page 3 in the supplement, we begin this worship service with Shalom Lied.
This is originally written as a song called Shabbat Lied, where the person who wrote the original lyrics said, if I only had the strength, I would run out into the streets and shout, Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. But in our time, there are other things we might need to run out and shout to the world, like justice and peace. And so we'll offer those and sing them out into this space and beyond. If my voice were louder, if my body stronger, I'd run through the street shouting justice, justice, justice. Try that with me. If my voice were louder, if my body stronger, I'd run through the street shouting justice, justice, justice. Wollt ich gehabt koyech, wollt ich gelaufen in die Gassen und geschrien Zedek, hoi Zedek, Zedek, Zedek. If my voice were louder, if my body stronger, I'd run through the street shouting peace, peace, peace. Wollt ich gehabt koyech, wollt ich gelaufen in die Gassen und geschrien Shalom, oi Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Yada la 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 la, yada la 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 la, yada la 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 la, yada la la la, yada la 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 la, yada la 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 la,
The lighting of Shabbat candles is a weekly act in which we participate to bring Shabbat to our community and to our hearts. The regularity of this practice, as well as the light and the heat that the candles emanate, connect us to generations of Jews in Jewish communities all over the world. We therefore tonight would like to invite those who are here tonight as our new members to come and help us welcome Shabbat, to come to our candle table. Before our service began, I think maybe some people online had seen it too, that we heard that we had 40 new families as members this year. And we welcome the new members who are here tonight. And if you're online too, and if you have candles by you, whether you're a new member or not, please light your candles as well. We want to draw you into our community and make certain that everyone feels welcomed and appreciated. My friends, as we welcome you to this community on this night, we heartily welcome you and your families and a new baby in your particular instance. And we hope that you will help maintain our community as part of the community of Israel. And we ask God, may it be your will to grant us a generous portion in your Torah. May all of us be disciples of Aaron the priest, loving peace and pursuing peace and drawing all people closer to the Torah. I want to invite the congregation here and the congregation online to refer to page 121 in the prayer book as we begin by lighting the Shabbat candles and offering this meditation.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We come to Kabbalat Shabbat, the part of the service that actually serves as a time of beautiful singing and a warm-up, perhaps for Ma'ariv, or just the expression of joy on this day. I'd like to tell you some words of Asher Tzvi Hirsch Ginsburg, otherwise known as Ahad Ha'am, one of the philosophers of the 20th century who spoke of Israel as a cultural state where Judaism would abound. He said, "The one whose heart is bound up with the life of the Jewish people will find it utterly impossible to imagine Israel's existence without the Shabbat. Far more than Israel has kept the Sabbath, it is the Sabbath that has kept Israel. For if not for the Sabbath," he writes, "which gave Israel a new soul and a new spirit at the end of every week, the troubles of the working days would have dragged them down more and more to the lowest scale of materialism and ethical and intellectual degradation. Indeed," he concludes, "one need not be a Zionist to appreciate the historical sanctity which surrounds the wonderful gift of Shabbat." We continue on page 4 of the supplement with Or Zarua, page 4 of the supplement.
Times of darkness, we must find ways to be that source of light for one another. Or Zarua Latzadi Uli Shrei Lev Simcha Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. We must keep our hopes alive. We must raise our voices high. We must hold each other tight. We must stand up in the night and be a light. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. We must spread our love around. We must feel this spiritual sound. We must work till peace has come. We must love and live as one and be alive. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik uleishrei lev simcha.
On page 138 and 139 in our Siddur, in the prayer book, we continue with Lecha Dodi, welcoming this metaphorical Queen of Shabbat to our community. Tonight we'll be offering verses 1, 2, 6, and 9. Page 138, verse 1. We'll start.
Lecha Dodi Likat Kala B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. 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 Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad ishmi'anu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'leli tila. Lecha Dodi likat kala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha Dodi likat kala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor ha'adracha. Verosh mikedem nisnesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat techila. Lecha Dodi likat kala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha Dodi likat kala b'nei
Shabbat Kabbalah.
Lo tevoshi velo tikami, matishtochachi
umatemi.
bach yechesu aniyei ami, venivneta
Ir al tila vechadodi, ikat hala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Vechadodi, ikat hala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah.
boi v'shalom hateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala,
Lechadodi, ikat hala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lechadodi, ikat hala b'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. The qualities of righteousness is something that we strive for in Judaism, certainly. As we sang before, we're searching for tzedek, tzedek, tzedek. And on page 140 is Psalm 92, this song for the Shabbat day. We talk about the righteous who bloom forth like a date palm, who thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. These are the qualities of people who are upright, people who do things in the correct way, not because they are told to, but because it is what we are supposed to do as people. We continue with Tzaddik Katamar, and it's going to be right where the indentation in the English transliteration and the Hebrew starts, on page 140.
As always, I'll lead us in with that title of the psalm. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Tzaddik Katamar Yifrach, Ke'erez Balanon Yizkeh Shetunim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun B'Seva Dishenim V'Rananim Yiyu Lehagim Ki Yashar Adonai Zuri V'Lo Avlatabo.
How many times do we say in our lives, it's time for services, right? Why do we call worship services? We call it that way because the rabbi said that the worship time is the service of the heart, just like the sacrifices used to be the worship, or the worship time in the service time in the temple of old when sacrifices. But may our service on this day, and whether we are serving ourselves by resting and by enjoying and by being with such a beautiful large community here tonight, may it continue. Or we are serving our families elsewhere, or we are serving our friends elsewhere. However we serve ourselves and however we serve others, I hope that that really enables each of us to grow as generations come and generations go, and our lives become more fuller and better every day. We turn to page 146 to begin the Ma'ariv service. We invite you to rise for Baruchu, page 146.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Page 149. Please read with me at the middle of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
So we turn to our supplement.
Page 5.
Page 5 of the supplement. For this beautiful interpretation of Ahavat Olam by Rabbis Rami Shapiro and Shir Yaakov Fait. We are loved by an unending love. So we can make sure that we sing those words in particular together. We'll start with that. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. On page 154, we continue together with Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Sometimes when troubles confront us in the world, we have to turn to one another in community. And even then, we know that we have to go through those troubles because something hopefully lies at the final end. On page 157, we read together at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. On page 158.
Lai 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 Ichamocha ba'elim Adonai Ichamocha Adar v'kodesh Nora Tehilot Oseh Veleh Nora Tehilot Oseh Veleh Malchutecha ra'u banecha Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 ונאמר כי פדה ארוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
On page 160 in the prayer books, but also in page 6 of the supplement has some English that we'll be singing tonight. We have Hashkivenu, this prayer that we offer in the evening time. Not only are there real dangers perhaps waiting for us out there, whether it's cold or others, but also evening time is a time of uncertainty because we don't know what the night will bring. We hope we all rise tomorrow refreshed and ready to serve the world and to serve ourselves and perhaps to serve God as well. But we take solace from one another in this community as we wish one another an easy night and that we all will dwell under the wings of Shekhinah, under the protective nature of what God has in store. Again, page 6 in the supplements.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen.
Author Marcia Falk reminds us of this. She says, loving life and its mysterious source, with all our heart and all our spirit, all our senses and strength, we take upon ourselves and into ourselves these promises: to care for the earth and those who live upon it, to pursue justice and peace, to love kindness and compassion. We will teach this to our children throughout the passage of the day, and as we dwell in our homes, as we go on our journeys, from the time we rise till we fall asleep. Let us be faithful to our words by observing the actions, too, that accompany those words, that everyone may come to know that truth and kindness have embraced, peace and justice have kissed, and are one.
Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen. 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 Amen.
One of the rabbis from the Talmud once said that if one prays only according to the precise text that we have in the prayer book and adds nothing from one's own heart, then that person's prayer is not complete. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, who was a native of Ukraine, by the way, later observed this: the words of our prayers must not fall off our lips like dead leaves in autumn. Rather, they must rise like birds out of the heart and into the vast expanse of eternity. We begin Tefillah now, a time where we do have prayers in the prayer book to remind us of where we came from And we have time also to pray those quiet prayers of our own heart that each of us has and is unique, and each of us will take us to different heights and different places where we live. We invite you to rise for the beginning of Tefillah on page 164 in the prayer book.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
166.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah.
Page 168.
Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al givurot, umido melach, melech meimit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol.
Amen. Page 170.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. I'd like to invite you to turn to page 8 in the supplement. These are uncertain times in our world. And one of the things that we do, we pray for peace, we work for peace, we try to bring peace between people. Goodness knows we in the Jewish community have been trying to do that for more than 2,000 years. And so we offer this prayer of peace because of the situation in Ukraine, because Ukraine was attacked. And so we are anxious and nervous about that. We read this prayer responsively. God of justice and peace, we pray for the people of Ukraine today. Give them strength and courage to withstand the attacks, to strive for life, and to preserve in the face of evil and to persevere, in the face of the evil and the cowardice of the aggressor.
We pray the desire for a better tomorrow dominates the thought of all who live in that region, so that wisdom, discernment, and compassion guide their designs and actions.
We pray for all people of good conscience upon whom fall the physical, emotional, or psychological pressures of undeserved conflict.
May the cause of common humanity, the reality that makes us all one family on earth, direct our steps, so that we see the other as an extension of ourselves, a being worthy of dignity and blessing.
And grant us peace, your most precious gift, and enable us to be its messenger unto all the world.
Even as you bless our country as a stronghold and advocate of peace, strengthen the bonds of friendship and harmony among the inhabitants of all lands. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. We praise you, O God, giver of peace.
For those keen observers of this liturgy, that last paragraph, the last two paragraphs, is taken from the Union Prayer Book, which was published first in the late 1800s, just to show you how relevant some of these prayers were then and how important they are to us today. We now continue tefillah with the quiet prayer of the heart.
You are still offering words from your heart. I encourage you to continue. In a moment, we're going to offer a very much needed prayer for peace together. We're going to be on page 180 in the prayer book. I'm going to offer something in the meantime. We're going to join together there in just a moment. And I want to offer something in the meantime for you all to just listen. In the course of the pandemic, I spent a good deal of time studying Psalms and discovered a phrase that just seemed to resonate right to my very bones as a Jew and as a human. And the phrase was Kuma Adonai, literally, get up, God. This very chutzpahdik kind of way of talking to the divine, just like sat right in my kishkas, right in the core of everything that I feel that I am. And so I wrote a piece of music that touched upon 3 verses that start with that phrase, Kuma Adonai, get up, God. And given the events of this last week, they seem to resonate even more strongly than ever. And so I want to offer them for us all just in this moment here. We'll have a chance to come back to them at the end of the service. But for now, I just want you all to take them in. Rise, Adonai, let not mortals be strong. Let the nations be judged before you. Rise, Adonai, lift up your hand and don't forget the lowly. Rise, 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 Adonai. God, won't you save me? Won't you save me, Elohai? Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai al Yaoz Enosh, Shaftu Goyim al Panecha. Kuma Adonai el Nisa Yadecha, al Tishkach Hanavi. Kuma, Kuma, Kuma Adonai, Hoshieni Elohai, Hoshieni, Hoshieni Elohai, Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Rise, 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 Adonai, save me, my God. Won't you save me? Won't you save me, Elohai? Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai. Page 180, we'll offer this prayer for peace together. Ose Shalom
Roma, Vayak'heil Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Ose Shalom Roma, Vayak'heil Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imeru Amen. Ose Shalom Romav, Vayak'heil Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Ose Shalom Romav, Vayak'heil Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imeru Amen. How do we achieve sanctity in our lives? Part of it is being here in this community of beautiful people. Part of it is thanking God and expressing gratitude for all the blessings we have in the world. We now pause and we thank God for the blessings of this Shabbat day, which are yet to be ours because it's only started a little while ago. But on page 123, we offer thanks for the gift of the fruit of the vine and for this beautiful day when we offer the Kiddush. So again, that's on page 123 in the prayer book.
Baruch Ata Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. Shabbat Shalom. We now would like to offer a member embrace for our Milestone members. There are people here in our sanctuary who have been members for at least 18 years, some at least for 36 years, some at least for 34 years. Right, and as you embrace one another, you can be distanced or you can even get a little closer. But we're not asking necessarily that right now. But we do want to recognize people in the sanctuary, and I must believe that there are a lot of you who fit that description. So briefly, what I'd like to have those of you who are membership Milestone members, if you would be willing to rise where you are so that you may be recognized not only by the others in the sanctuary, but by people who may see you online. So please, rise and show us who you are if you can. If you can't, that's okay too. But if you would like to, we invite you to rise and show us your membership longevity. These are our Milestone members, some of whom appear in our book tonight. And we are so pleased and privileged to have you all here. Thank you all for being with us. They were here early in this service. You may be seated.
And we have a couple of people
online
too who were just displayed. They were displayed there for a moment.
Thank you. We have people online as well who are also our Milestone members of Temple Bethel. And we would like to offer this special bracha, a special blessing for you all, whether you are here in the sanctuary or online. We are so glad to have you with us. Our God and God of our ancestors, in celebration we come together this evening to offer praises to you, God, and to observe this day of rest. Your steadfast love supports all generations. You give us strength and endow us with a willingness and determination to continue our connections with this sacred community which we began many years before today. May the recollections of the past years of membership, of those who have come before us and created this community, or there might be even founding members here tonight, and dreams of those who come after us, who will take advantage of the work that we have done by building this community. Let that confirm in us our connections with this community and the sacred purposes which it serves. As people united in common hope and courage, may we persevere and work together so that it may bring us joy and strength in future generations of Temple Bethel members. We seek your blessing, Eternal One, for this congregation and all its members. May it continue to grow and flourish and to nourish those who are part of it. May it enrich and enliven all members, that through it, through their participation here, reverence for God be implanted in the hearts of all, and curiosity about the universe and the source of life also be active. May we learn to share our work and prayers with those in other communities, and may our sharing with others strengthen our visions of Jewish life in all its forms. And let us say, Amen. On page 648 in the prayer book, if you need the words for Shehechianu, They are there, page 648.
Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. We thank all our members for being part of this sacred community and helping it to be strong and to grow. Thank you to everyone. And Shabbat Shalom. As we might say in the land of Israel, Halavai, which means Im Yirtzeh Hashem, or it might mean Inshallah, if God wills it. If God wills it, we will have a Shabbat of Shalom. At the conclusion of Psalm 29, a psalm that acts as one of the anchors of the Kabbalat Shabbat prayers of our Friday evening worship, there is a prayer for strength and peace. And there it says, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God grant strength to the Eternal One's people. May God bless the Eternal One's people with peace. My friends, we need this blessing tonight more than ever at this uncertain and sensitive time. But I want to leave the realm of the influence of God for a moment, and I want us to consider instead the thoughts and plans of humans. For it is humanity that causes and advances war, and it is humanity that must struggle against that violent instinct and wage peace. Tonight, as you have guessed, I think, I wish to speak about the situation in Ukraine. I had originally hoped to speak about a different topic, and I will address that topic next month. But I need to speak tonight about this one individual who, in full view of the international community, has broken the boundaries and violated the culture of civilized nations. And frankly, I'm angry, and I'm scared, and I'm determined not to succumb to apathy. Indifference in this situation is not an option. In the words of Leviticus, we do not stand around indifferently while our kinfolk literally bleed to death. On this night, though it is day 3 or 4 as dawn is now breaking over Ukraine, Russia continues its unprovoked assault on that independent, sovereign, and democratically run nation. The world's citizens who love democracy and freedom remain incredulous and hold their collective breath. And as they hold their breath, many are silent, because for some, there are no words. There is no more strength. There is no more comprehensible logic. And there is no peace. And yet we must determine the words, and we must summon the strength and amass the wisdom and employ the logic and use those qualities to achieve peace despite the obvious roadblocks and regardless of the odds. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, as I mentioned before, the native Ukrainian rabbi who revived Hasidism in the late 18th century, offers us his vision of peace. In his prayer for peace, he compiles what he believes are 4 of the most salient calls for peace from the prophets and the book of Leviticus, and offers us this vision of that future time of peace. His arrangement of these verses from the Tanakh, from the Bible, is prayerfully optimistic, I think. He writes, I shall place peace upon the earth, and you shall lie down safe and undisturbed. And I shall banish evil beasts from the earth, and the sword shall not pass through the land. But let justice come in waves like water, and righteousness flow like a river. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Holy One, as the waters cover the sea. It's a beautiful vision, if only it could be. In our times, Ukrainians have a devious and dishonest foe who has dashed these hopes for peace. Ukrainians have encountered the dictator who cares little about peace, and seeks dominance, personal aggrandizement, whatever. The Russian president has ruled as a sovereign ruler so far for a total of 18 years. And he probably would rule for life if he found those in his government who would support him. He seems to loathe democracy and has systematically employed his merciless authority through the executive powers he possesses. We know well the danger of autocrats who eschew a tradition of democracy and perceive matters and rule only through their myopic viewpoint. Vladimir Putin not only loves power, but knows and acts only along the pathway of dominance. He also detests democracy and loathes democratically elected leaders like Volodymyr Zelensky, who victored over Putin's Ukrainian puppet collaborator 3 years ago in democratic elections. I suspect Putin also hates Jews, and the current Ukrainian president is totally proud of his Jewish heritage and identity. For these reasons alone, Putin may feel a sense of determination, and that's why he attacked this week. Perhaps the Russian president will emerge victorious, or perhaps he will encounter effective resistance from the Ukrainian people. Now, I admit tonight that I know little of the history of Ukraine, a nation that has had many powers try to subdue it and to consume it. But I found something I wanted to share with you. It is a poem by a Ukrainian poet whose name is Taras Shevchenko, a 19th century Ukrainian poet. And because of his words, I get the impression that Ukraine will not surrender without a fight. His poem is entitled Zapovit, or Testament. I hope someone will correct my pronunciation. And the poet asserts the strong native desire for freedom and independence among the Ukrainian people. He writes this: "When I am dead, bury me in my beloved Ukraine, my tomb upon a grave mound high amid the spreading plain, so that the fields, the boundless steppes, the Dnieper's plunging shore, my eyes could see, and my ears could hear the mighty river roar. When from Ukraine the Dnieper bears into the deep blue sea the blood of foes, then I will leave these hills and fertile fields. I'll leave them all and fly away to the abode of God, and then I'll pray. But till that day, I know nothing of God. Oh, bury me, and then you should rise up and break your heavy chains, and water with the tyrant's blood the freedom you have gained. And in the great new family, the family of the free, with softly spoken kindly word, remember also me." And I want to remind us that we Jews also have a rich history in Ukraine. That's where the so-called Pale of Settlement of Jewish life thrived in the centuries prior to World War II. It is estimated, however, that almost 1 million Ukrainian Jews were slaughtered by the Nazis, and many Ukrainians were collaborators. And I want to stress that historians say that as in many countries, the collaborators of the Nazis were not always ideologically in tune with those who had occupied their nation. Many Ukrainians during that time were also involved in resistance efforts against Germany. And as Volodymyr Zelensky would tell you today, there is anti-Semitism in Ukraine, but of course the news is there's anti-Semitism everywhere, so we shouldn't be surprised. But there is, in that part of the world, very much alive, the spirit of resistance, the chutzpah that could fortify the Ukrainians in the months and years to come. Now, I predict and I hope that in the long run, Ukrainians will overthrow their Russian captors. There will be, as we could probably guess, however, many sacrifices between now and that moment in time. And as we have seen, even in Russia, there have been street demonstrations in that land where unauthorized protests are really illegal. Spontaneous expressions of dissent have taken place, according to the NGOs in Russia, in more than 50 cities, including Putin's hometown of St. Petersburg, or someone might have visited there when it was called Leningrad. The police make arrests, and the people still protest. That is an optimistic spirit, for certain. Among the Russian populace, there is dissent about Putin. There is great concern about the financial sanctions that the world's nations are imposing upon Russia. There is also the frightening possibility that a truly irrational Putin will strike back at the world turned against him through his arsenal of modern weapons. In our homes and minds, we may harbor similar fears and concerns. We may have relatives or friends or business partners in those countries, and we worry about all of their welfare. In the last 48 hours, I've spoken to members of Temple Beth-El who have immigrated from the former Soviet Union, many from Ukraine itself. And I hear great concerns from them, both about their friends who still live there, as well as overall for the death of democracy in a country which could have been so strong, and maybe we'll get back there one day. Our hearts are with our TBE members who are from that part of the world, and their families and their friends, and all the mental anguish that they endure. We Americans also will bear some of the burden of this struggle through the way that our economy will be affected. That may be only the initial price we pay, when at this point we don't send our forces to fight directly in Ukraine. Still, we need to stay informed. We need to learn more than we know now about the situation in Ukraine. And we need to support our own democratic systems, which, as we have seen in recent years, are being thwarted by American anti-democratic advocates, those who wish to constrict the ability of Americans to vote freely. There's a lot to do. We are only at the beginning of this crisis. Will we eventually send troops or weaponry to aid in the insurgency that is sure to surface among Ukrainians in the months ahead? I have to tell you, part of me hopes so. Part of me knows that appeasing dictators yields poor results, and that there may come a time when we take those words of Leviticus literally, that we not stand idly by in the background while our kinfolk are bleeding. And I say that as a father of a 24-year-old boy, a 24-year-old man who has registered with the Selective Service System, as is the law in our country. Yet for our values to mean something, for us to actualize them in this complex world, I think all options have to be open to us. So that, one, we understand the price of inaction, which could be a dictator run amok. And two, that we can, with conviction and confidence, take up the mantle of responsibility of liberating people from the tyranny of the oppressor. Like the Pharaohs and the Hamans and the Hitlers before Putin, Putin must know that the world will not disregard his aggressions. In this week's Torah portion of Vayak'heil, Moses describes the talents of Bezalel, the artisan in charge of designing and crafting of the materials for the Mishkan, that giant desert tabernacle that the Israelites built, where God would choose the divine spirit to dwell. Bezalel needed to possess a divine spirit as well as earthly wisdom, understanding, courage, and knowledge. His skills needed to be perfect. Only then could the task of constructing the tabernacle be complete, and only then would God be ready to dwell among the people. In the same manner, perhaps, we require proficient and confident skills to confront evil and overcome it. We need knowledge and patience and persistence and the skill of collaboration with sacred partners. And we need courage to act when others will not. Only then will we succeed in overcoming cruelty and ousting hatred from our midst. And only then will we, along with God's help, bring both strength and blessing to the people. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God grant strength to the people, and may God bless the people with peace. Ken yehi l'ratzon May this be God's will. We'd like to invite you as a community to turn to page 371 in the prayer book. It is now time to consider those who are ill on this night, those who have illnesses, those who are hospitalized, those who are recovering, God willing, from illness and surgery. We also think of those who have terminal medical situations, and we hope that they and their families can be with one another. We hope their families find wholeness at this very tender moment in time. We have almost 100 names on our healing list this week, which we won't read all aloud now. But we will ask if there are people here in our sanctuary. If you would like to, I'm about to invite you to offer the names of people whom you are thinking about, people who need special prayers of healing and wholeness. For those of you who are watching online, if you would like to put those names there, you can put your names, I think, in the comment section on the page, because we want to know also whom you are thinking about at this time. Again, if there are people here in our sanctuary who would like to offer a name of someone who in their heart we think of and who need healing and wholeness, we invite you to do so.
Lisa Lawrence.
Other people we should be thinking about tonight? Dear God, aloud and in our hearts, we name those facing illness and pain. And we offer these prayers for them and their families at this time. On page 371, we continue with Misha Berach, the middle of the page. Misha Berach Avoteinu
Mikor habracha leimoteinu.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We invite you to turn to page 586 for Aleinu. We invite you also to rise, those who are able. Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל. ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated. I'm reading on page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. Oh, may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 591. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. On page 595. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. We remember those connected to our members, connected to our community, who passed away in recent days and whose Yartzeiten occur at this time. If you are present tonight in our sanctuary in mourning or observing a Yartzeit, or if you are watching online as well, we invite you to rise as the name of your loved one is recited, and then you'll be joined by other members of our community as they too give you the comfort and consolation of this place, and stand with one another to say the mourner's Kaddish. These are those whom we have taken into our hearts with our community's recent losses. A beloved member of our community we lost this week, Bernie Goldstein, husband of Lenora Goldstein. This week also we lost Ellen Koch, mother of Renee Balkan, grandmother of Ari and Byron Balkan. In past weeks, we have lost Bruce McCallum, brother of Jerry McCallum Schwartz, uncle of Becca Schwartz, Sarah Schwartz, and Leah Feiereisen. And we have also lost a beloved member of our community, David Goldenberg, who is highlighted, I think, in the books you have, some of you before you, husband of Estelle Goldenberg of blessed memory, mother of Judith Peterson and Zena Goldenberg. And these are the Yartzeiten that we observe at this time. In continuing dedication to their memories, we now recall with love Tony Blindstrube, Maurice H. Cohen, Annabelle Davidson, Eva Deutschkron, Estelle B. Drazen, Edith Edelman, Priscilla Ehrlich, Lottie Frank, Gary Friedman, Robert Brank Fulton, Glenn Harvey, Seth Kaner, Rose Kaplan, Holly Mitchell Kelly, Martin Kozlov, Joseph Krasno, Clara Levin, Alice Levy, Bernard Lipman, Frida Lubing, Evelyn Minkoff, Leroy Obeler, Rose Rodems, Abraham M. Rubin, Max Saltzman, Cecil Julius Schubert, Lee Sinavoy, Marvin Sweet, and Ruth Wolfson, all of a blessed memory. There may be members of this worship community here with us tonight or online who also are remembering loved ones whose names were not on the Kaddish list. But if you would like to share the name of a loved one whom you are remembering tonight, we invite you to do so as we move around the sanctuary. As we say, Zichronam Livracha, may all their memories be blessings in our hearts and the hearts and minds of all those who knew and loved them. Testifying to the faith that binds the generations of humanity together, I now invite us all as a community to turn to page 598, and we rise as together we say the words of mourners Kaddish, thanking God for the gift of a life shared with us, and thanking God too for the memories that we have of our loved one and how that person inspires our lives. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imeru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'rihu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amira be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlamat rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen. May God send peace to all who mourn and comfort to those who are bereaved, and we say amen. Please be seated. In a few moments, our service will conclude, and when it does, you are invited to take a cookie from Just Bakery, that very important bakery in town that helps serving people coming back into the world from their periods of confinement in prison, and teaches them a trade and really encourages them to be part of society once again, thank goodness. So please take a cookie. At this moment, we're still asking people not to linger too much, just making sure that people have appropriate distances, and we will talk with you another time. But before we end the service, we have a number of things to say. First of all, thank you all for being part of this community tonight, whether you are here in the sanctuary or whether you are online. We thank you for being part of this worship experience tonight. We also want to thank the membership committee for all its tremendous work in putting together this beautiful book of our Milestone members, for arranging this night, and you know who you are. Thank you so much for being part of this night, and we are so happy to be able to welcome you. We welcome all new TBE members, those who are with us here and those who could not be with us here tonight. And we thank Sisterhood for sponsoring the Oneg to go. So thank Sisterhood for its wonderful contribution of all those delicious cookies. My favorite is the oatmeal, but that's okay.
Disappear quickly.
They disappear quickly. So, but you can. I'm not going to go tonight. Anyway, and we welcome all the members and all the Milestone members and guests who are with us here in our community. A few announcements. First, some COVID announcements. Thank you for wearing masks appropriately over nose and mouth, and for being properly vaccinated. You wouldn't be sitting in the sanctuary if you weren't properly vaccinated anyway, because we require proof of vaccination and boosters if you are eligible for that to attend services in person. One note about contact tracing, two requests really. One request about contact tracing. If you test positive for COVID-19 within 5 days of being here at a service at Temple Beth El, please contact Stephanie Kushner, our executive director. Let her know that so that we can let people know that they might have had an exposure. If we receive notification of anyone who was present who tests positive within the 5 days following tonight's worship service, we will notify all of those who are present. For this reason, we want to be sure we have everybody's name and contact information. We think that we have it all, but some of you may not have given it to us. Make sure we have it to us before you leave. Tomorrow morning, there will be Torah study led by Steve Olson at 9 o'clock in the morning. And tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, the young families of our temple will have a special Havdalah and glow stick dance party. So there's news about that online, I'm sure. Next Friday evening, Shabbat Services, we have a 6 p.m. Shabbalallah service featuring our first and second grade religious school, but just because we're featuring the first and second grade religious school doesn't mean that others can't come as well. So it's really, Shabbalallah is an intergenerational experience where we invite members of all our temple families to join with us and to celebrate the arrival of Shabbat. That's next Friday at 6 p.m. That's when services happen. Next Saturday, the 5th of March, there will be Torah study led by Kendra Sager, our Associate Executive Director. And at 10:30 a.m., there will be the Benot Mitzvah of Chloe and Eden Schmick, the daughters of Lauren and Jason Schmick. So please join us for all those happy occasions. And there are many other occasions noted on the back of the program. So please, or not the back of the program, but in the second to the last page of the program. So please look at some of those events and join us here. We are coming back as a community. Please watch, TBE members, please watch your email for important announcements in the coming days about how we are making more comebacks here to our community as numbers go down and as we are able to be more easily with one another in this community.
May I add?
Please.
So looking a little bit further ahead, on March 16th will be Heir of Purim. We're going to be celebrating here together as a congregation with, for talking about coming back together, the first time that we are offering a congregational meal in this building since, I think indoors since before the onset of the pandemic, if that's correct. Somebody can correct me on that if needed. That will be then followed by a short, silly, wacky, possibly backwards, short evening service, which will then lead into our spiel. This year our spiel is going to be based on The Wizard of Oz, so songs we all know, hopefully, and we are still looking for spielers, and I'm looking at everyone in this room as a potential spieler. So if you have any even slight inkling or consideration of that, please either come see me after or reach out to me after Shabbat.
We can see the people online. They don't know it, but we actually see the people online, so we're looking at you as well.
Our first rehearsal is going to be next Thursday evening, so there is still time to get on board, as it were.
Yes. Help us, O God, to feel peaceful on this new Shabbat that has just begun. After the angst and noise of the week gone by, we seek the quiet of Shabbat. After encountering crowds of indifferent strangers, we seek to reach out to those we love. After the steady concentration on our work and responsibilities, we seek the freedom to listen to our inner selves. We open our eyes to the hidden beauty and the infinite possibilities in the world. We break open the gates of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others, and we seek the love that binds one human being to another.
We're going to turn back into our supplements to close ourselves out with this piece of music that I offered coming out of our silent prayer. I wanted to say two more things about it before we sing part of it together. One is that one of the reasons why I think it resonates with me even more strongly this week is that the phrase Kuma Adonai Hoshieni, rise Adonai and save me, is immediately preceded in that psalm by the phrase Lo ira merivavot am asher saviv shatu alai. I will not be afraid of the many thousands who have set themselves against me. Rise Adonai and save me. When I was studying Psalms, I had a fellow Psalm enthusiast who, anytime he approached the word God, decided to instead translate it as the good. So anytime he came across the word God, instead of God, it was the good. So for him, it would be rise the good and save us. Rise that goodness that is in ourselves, that is in others. Rise that truth that is in us and in others. Get up and save us.
page 7 in the supplement.
And we'll just sing the English. Rise, Adonai, let not mortals be strong. Let the nations be judged before you. Rise, Adonai, lift up your hand and don't forget the lowly. Rise, 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 Adonai, save me, my God. Won't you save me? Won't you save me, Elohai? Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Rise, 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 Adonai, save me, my God. Won't you save me? Won't you save me, Elohai? Elohai, Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai. Kuma Adonai.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.